Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 218 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of October 18th through 24th. Yes, 24th, 2021. My name's Tim Beeman, and I am opening the recipe trunk. I'm flying solo today. Michael had, at very last minute, had to back out. There was a couple of stories came through he needed to take care of, and when you have the number one foodie on the show with you, you have to take that risk. So that's what we're doing today. We're recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town in the Less Desirable Studios in the Lab Industry Hill. You're listening to us on your favorite podcatchers like Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, or anything like that. We'd appreciate a like, a follow, and a rating. It would help us more than you know, tremendously, actually. And if you're listening to us on the Triad Podcast Network, thank you and welcome. This episode of The Man Who Ate the Town is brought to you by Mojito Latin Soul Food, your go-to Cuban and Latin-inspired restaurant. While the weather is still nice and it's getting ready to change, I think you can feel it right now. It's a little bit colder. Why not go sit under the covered patio and have a delicious Cubano sandwich, which to me is the top sandwich in this town, or some other delicious thing like ceviche, pork belly, or even have a mojito or some of the other classic drinks that they have. Mojito Latin Soul Food does reservations, takeout, and deliveries to surrounding businesses like Fiddle and Fish, Broad Branch, and Wise Man. Go check them out on their Facebook page and at mojitolatinsoulfood.com. And again, check the GoFundMe page for Zeke on their Facebook, their employee that was hit by two cars in one bike accident several weeks back. So go check that out. Still, everyone is hiring. Get a job. Several eateries around town are closing left and right for a day or two at a time. As we have said several times over the last few weeks, call ahead to your favorite restaurants, food places, or drink places. Even if they're not posting or haven't mentioned not having a problem, to make sure that you're not going to go waste a trip out to wherever you're going. Just good practice for these times. So call them. That's the best way. That thing that you carry around with you, the phone, it actually does still work as a phone. It may not be that very much, not for me even, but it does actually still work as one. So use it. Delicios, speaking of hours, have changed their hours again. They were doing takeout only part of the week and dine-in on the weekends. Now they are doing dine-in Wednesday through Saturday and are closed all the way from Sunday till Tuesday. This is in direct correlation to staffing issues, as they mentioned. 2 Saturdays ago, Stephanie and I were sitting at the porch, and I noticed across the way this new signage on the windows of the former event space there in the Miltworks. I asked one of the servers what Bar Nola was, and they said they had no clue. The doors were open, and I meant to go in and ask about it, but my beaming belly was starting to whisper in my ear, or, from my belly. So we had to leave. I was going to ask Michael about that today, but he's not here. It's a New Orleans style bar and music event space. I know they opened up, I think, Friday, and it was a success from what I could tell. They didn't, because everybody in this state has trouble getting liquor right now. They got about 20% of their liquor order, and they ran out of liquor because the state, for whatever reason, I have my opinions on that, and I think they monopolize everything and overtax things and make it harder to get inventory in. You can go to any of the surrounding states and they don't have this kind of problem. North Carolina is one of the last bastions of government-controlled alcohol laws. I just wish they would give some of that shit up pardon my language, and let it be privatized. But, yeah, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, they run out of liquor at Barnola, and it seems like everybody liked it that was there. I know Karen Click, one of my friends, and the Hot Licks were playing there. A couple other folks that I saw were playing there. So, go check out Barnola. Obviously, it's in the alleyway behind the porch and Hoots. So if you're on the gravel, or the little pea gravel river rock walkway behind Hoots and the porch, it's in the building right there across the little alley. Diamondback Grill is casual dining located in the heart of Buena Vista in Winston-Salem. It is a fantastic family-owned farm-to-fork restaurant that sources most of its ingredients from local farmers. Diamondback has a new dinner menu, and I talk about all the fancy schmancy things that Diamondback Grill does, but you know what? They do simple things well, too. Salads, smaller plates, pizzas, appetizers. The appetizer menu, I think, is amazing, and I really suggest you try the lump crab hush puppies. I'm not a huge lump crab fan, but I love those hush puppies. Check out their cocktail menu, too. It's full of seasonal deliciousness. Diamondback Grill is at 751 Avalon Road. Find them on the web at diamondbackgrill.com and on Facebook and Instagram. To make reservations, call 336-722-0006. And, of course, tell them that Tim, the man who ate the town, sent you. City Beverage is doing their tent sale Saturday, October 30th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. There will be live music, food, and prizes. Beer and wine tasting. Save the date. That's the 30th, 915 Burke Street. Small Batch is hosting a Halloween costume party on October 22nd. There will probably be prizes there as well. And, there's always beer. So it's always a plus. So Stephanie and I went to hang out a little bit at the Farm to Fourth drive-through event yesterday. Yes, it was drive-through only, but I kind of had an in. And I wanted to take some pictures and was even given a beer by Chef Jeff Bacon, and that's never a bad thing. They had Doug Davis and his Magnolia Green Band playing on the sidewalk in front of the canteen Still Life. Spent some time over at Bull's Tavern across the way. We took home a box, and man, hold on, I've got the rundown of what we had. It was basically dinner for two. We had, and here's the hors d'oeuvres from chefs Adam Andrews and David Swing at Young Cardinal. There was bacon wrapped sausage and cheese stuffed banana peppers. That was fantastic. Chef Blair Cannon at Forsyth Country Club had the Carolina barbecue grilled shrimp, roasted sweet corn espuma, sour honey candied shishito peppers, and hickory smoked pecan cracker. So that was pretty cool, all those together. Claire Calvin of The Porch and Alma and Canteen, she made a mini charcuterie, which my favorite thing in all that, there were two things. Pitted Kalamata olives, which I am a huge fan of, and candied ginger. That was really, really good. But they had blue cheese, which is my favorite kind of cheese. Cured meats, I'm not sure which ones they were. I just liked the taste of them. I believe sopressata was one of them, and it wasn't pancetta. It was something else, but maybe salami, maybe something like that. And Chef Travis Myers from 600 Degrees did a pickled shrimp and crispy rice dish. All those were fantastic. I did not see the amuse-bouche from Tim Graninetti at Springhouse. So that must have somehow, either it didn't show up at all or it was not in our box, which could have been. Then there was a salad from Chef Michael Spencer at Rooster's Wood-Fired Kitchen. Had tomato, watermelon, Aleppo peppers, carrots, spiced pecans, candied onions, whipped goat cheese, farmer's cheese, micro cilantro, and basil. The entrees, which were my absolute favorite two things in this whole box. You heard me last week talk with Chef Brian DePaulis, and the 5-spice short ribs, shiitake duxelle, and a miso demi, and that was all fantastic. It was melt in your mouth short ribs. It wasn't tough at all. I had a knife, but the knife was just really to help facilitate the cutting more than it was the actual cutting, because I could have used just my fingers and a fork and just torn this apart. It was really, really good. But my absolute favorite thing of the whole day was from Chef Eric Brownlee at the Catherine Brasserie and Bar, and that was the chicken au poivre flambé, peppered and pan-seared chicken thighs with cognac flambéed mushroom cream sauce with baby arugula and garlic confit. He has that at the Catherine, and that's one of my favorite things over there. You've heard me talk about that before. The dessert was also from Providence. It was Chef Daryl Pobance, who is the chef for the instruction for the students. And he had an autumn persimmon bread pudding with caramel crumb broad branch rye chantilly with ginger snap twill. And Chef Lucia and John Bobby at Bobby Boy Bake Shop had country sourdough baguette slices. So all in all, it was a fantastic thing. There was not one single thing that I did not like. Oh, I left off Chef Stephanie Tyson of Sweet Potatoes did a fancy mess of greens, is what they call it. It was really, really good collards, basically. Summer's Bounty succotash and savory mashed sweet potatoes. I'm not a huge fan of sweet potatoes of any form, but I did eat most of my portion of that. I ate all the greens and about 3/4 of the succotash. At some point, we just had to stop. It was so much. I didn't even save room to drink any alcohol, and you know how bad that had to have been. Not bad that I didn't do it, but how much I had to have eaten to not have anything like that. So the word from Chef Bacon is that this event, which was sold out, raised over $90,000 to support Second Harvest Food Bank of Northwest North Carolina and their mission to feed the community and feed opportunity through their Providence programs. So anyone listening who had purchased one of those, you contributed to this as well. And that's $90,000 worth of support for the local communities and those who are hungry and need. And as we know, $1 provides 7 meals. So I'm not very good at math. So if you take 90,000 and multiply that by 7, that's a shload of meals right there. I think that's an official metric too. If you've ever wondered how much a shload was, let's go 90,000 times 7. There you go. Whatever that comes out to be. I'm lazy. I'm not doing the math. Math is hard. While I was there at the canteen, Claire Calvin said she had some news she wanted to share with me, and I told her we'd have her on this podcast in a few weeks so she could tell us, so stay tuned for that. Check out Explore Winston-Salem, an Instagram-based business to tell you all the cool and groovy things happening in our hometown. They're on Instagram as Explore Winston-Salem and on the web as explorewinstonNC.com. Christy is all over it, every bit of it. She is sharing some of what I posted for her foodstuffs, too. Saturday, Stephanie and I had dinner at the Davy Tavern in Advance. I know Alan Coates, the owner, and I know the executive chef there, Jared Lee, who anyone who listened to this show for a long time may remember me talking about Chef Jared Lee when he was at Mundo on 4th Street and Marshall. there in the Stevens Center. So, yeah, he's there. And a little birdie told me that Chef Travis Myers is putting in a few shifts while they are trying to get 600 Degrees open. Alan is one of the partners in 600 Degrees. So I decided to go out there and give everybody a shot. I had never been there before. I had the pork chop special with tasso ham, cream sauce, cheese grits, and shrimp. Basically, it was shrimp and grits with pork chops, or a pork chop, a big pork chop. Stephanie ordered the King Clip special, which is the firm white fish over sun-dried tomato broccolini risotto with pancetta beurre blanc. And what she actually got, though, was the pesto marinated seared scallops with lemon vinaigrette, roasted red pepper, parm risotto, and sauteed haricot vert. Really, she actually preferred the mistake over the ordered dish. We took the ordered dish home. They just brought us the wrong thing. And she was already halfway through it whenever they realized the mistake and put the other dish in front of us. So we wrapped it up and we took that home. Like I said, we had never been to Davy Tavern. A lot of our friends talk about it, so we decided to give it a try. Going out that far isn't something we normally do, and yes, that is far for us. We just don't usually travel that far. We want to be closer to home because, well, the aforementioned Beam and Belly and other things. The food was very good, and we will definitely be going back. That pork was seasoned just right and very flavorful, and she really liked those scallops and the haricot vert and everything. She ate almost every bite of that, so good for her. Let's talk burgers for a second. We sit still over 100 locations. I had 2 official burgers last week. I went to the Little Bit Red Caboose on Thursday. It's up on Patterson, and had their 8-ounce cheeseburger with mayonnaise, pickles, tomato, onions, and light mustard. I also had their top dog, which is this huge and thick all beef hot dog. That was the star, I'll be honest with you. Can't really say anything about the burger. You have to wait till December for that. But Street Team Steven and I went to Culver's since I hadn't been back since opening day, and Steven hadn't been to a Culver's since he lived in Minnesota. So I'm going on record here and saying that if nothing else, I'm a fan of Vikram, who is the owner. I know Culver's is a chain, but every single person that works at Culver's is local. It's providing a place for people to earn money, and that Culver's are paying into the local economy. I talked with Vikram about his charitable works that he does in Statesville, where he owns a hotel and a couple other small businesses, and he wants to expand his work with the homeless to both Charlotte and here in Winston-Salem. Chances are that Culver's Deluxe Butter Burger will fall under a category like Other on that list, since it does fall under the chain designation. We also had the one-day only curd burger, which was the deluxe burger with a patty of deep-fried cheese curds on it, and I thought that was okay. I will say that I really enjoyed the burger. That's all I can say. I can't say if it's going to fall on the list, where it's going to happen, or anything like that. I can just say that we did actually enjoy it. And to me, the highlight of it was, and he gave us some of the frozen custard too. But the highlight was actually talking to Vikram and hearing the things that he does for the community. I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of it. There were his brothers who were basically homeless that he brought in and gave jobs to, and they are working out great, and they are very appreciative, and they are working hard, and it's just a cool story to me. And there are others like them that he's trying to bring in. He just wants to help people who need a little helping hand. There are some beyond help, and we know this, but for the most part, he is actually trying to lend a helping hand to those who are willing to work and help out. The food holidays are sponsored by Carrabba's Italian Grill, located 587 South Stratford Road. And like Culver's, it may be a corporate-owned thing, but, a lot of the local restaurants are also corporate-owned. So they're just locally corporate-owned. But Carrabba's is a responsible family of restaurants. Carrabba's and their owner partners take the communities they serve very seriously, and it's in their charter to do so. And for us, having Daniel Butner as the proprietario, Daniel Butner is just one of the most awesome people in the world. So, yeah, just trust me, it does not suck. October is National Seafood Month, and Carrabba's is celebrating with the mahi vol, topped with artichokes, sun-dried tomatoes, and their basil lemon butter sauce. How about trying their calamari, which is served with both the Ricardo sauce and marinara sauce, the spadino de mar that you can get with either shrimp, scallops, or a combination of both, and the salmon saporito, and more. Seafood everywhere over there at Carrabba's. Find out more, make reservations, or order online for takeout and delivery at Carrabba's.com. And of course, tell them that the man who eats the town sent you. Food holidays starting today, the 18th of October. It's National Chocolate Cupcake Day. Ray would love that. In 1878, Thomas Edison made electricity available for household usage, and he also died on this day in 1931. In 1892, the first long-distance telephone line between Chicago and New York City was put into service. And also on today, happy birthday to James Ealer, who writes the food reference blog and calendar that lets me bring you these holidays and history nuggets. The 19th is National Seafood Bisque Day. It's International Gin and Tonic Day, which my beautiful wife, Stephanie, just got me some tonic. I asked for that on her shopping trip, and I have an unopened bottle of Tanqueray gin that I am going to enjoy some gin and tonics if I can remember to do so tomorrow. Horace Williams in 1886, John L. Alberger and Louis R. Alberger of New York, or Buffalo, New York, received a patent for a process of making salt from brine and the apparatus used, it being especially adapted to the manufacture of fine salt and and to the saving of fuel usually employed. So basically it's a salt making machine that used less fuel. In 1917 in France, Salvation Army volunteer Helen Purviance made the first donuts for homesick U.S. soldiers. The donuts became a symbol of the spirit of the Salvation Army's work to ease the hardship of World War I, of the soldiers on the front line. And I do want to say, on the 19th, happy birthday to our listener and one of my best buds, Jim Young. Happy birthday, buddy. On the 20th, it's International Chef's Day. I've got one of those. If you know a chef, just wish them happy International Chef Day on the 20th. It's National Brandied Fruit Day, too. On the 20th in 1803, the U.S. Senate ratified the Louisiana Purchase Treaty for the purchase of the western half of the Mississippi River Basin from France for about $15 million, about 4 cents an acre, doubling the size of this country. In 1927, the first Model A Ford was produced. The first sale was on December 2nd, 1927. On the 21st, it's National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day, World Apple Day, which Apple Day is intended to be both a celebration and a demonstration of the variety we are in danger of losing, not simply in apples, but the richness and diversity of landscape, ecology, and culture as well. A quick fact there on apples that, I say fact, I read this somewhere. It was on the internet, so it has to be true. You know, if you bury or plant apple seeds, like say you have a Golden Delicious apple, and you plant it, it is almost certain to grow a different kind of apple. I just find that interesting. On the 21st in 2010, Chris Stevens of New Richmond, Wisconsin, showed a 1,810 and a half pound pumpkin, which was confirmed by Guinness World Records as the world's heaviest pumpkin to date. That's huge. On the 22nd, it's Global Champagne Day and National Nut Day. In 1907, on the 22nd, Ringling Brothers bought the Barnum and Bailey Circus. In 1981, the FDA approved the artificial sweetener aspartame, which was then called NutraSweet, for tabletop use, and people like me with Tourette syndrome has never been the same. 10/23, it's National Boston Cream Pie Day, and Boston Cream Pie is actually not a pie, as we learned. It is a cake composed of 2 layers of sponge cake with a layer of custard or cream filling, usually topped with chocolate. Boston cream pie is the official state dessert of Massachusetts, and it was invented at the Parker House Hotel in Boston, which I have stayed in and had a Boston cream pie from there. That's also where the Parker House rolls came from. The 23rd is also National Canning Day because Nicholas Appert, or Appert, who supposedly invented the canning process, was born in 1752. In 1874, the winner in an oyster shucking contest in Montreal, Canada, shucked 300 oysters in 30 minutes. Now, I've watched oyster shuckers at the seafood restaurants around, and it sometimes takes them 30, 40 seconds per oyster. So this guy was on it. In 1928, Hoberg Paper and Fiber Company registered the Charmin trademark for toilet paper, paper towels, and others. In 1951, the Dial trademark was registered for bar soap. On the 24th, it's U.S. Food Day, which is a day to resolve to make changes in our diets and to take action to solve world-related problems in our communities at the state, local, state, and national levels. It's also World Tripe Day. Tripe is mentioned in the Samuel Pepys diary. In Samuel Pepys, I'll say it right here in a minute. Samuel Pepys' diary on October 24th, 1662. So home and dined there with my wife upon the most excellent dish of tripes of my own directing. I don't know if it's the same thing as what we eat now as tripe, but I do love, especially at El Rancho, Mexican cuisine over on Sprague Street here in Winston-Salem. Their tripe tacos are fantastic. You should give it a shot. The 24th is also National Bologna Day, or Bologna Day. It's Good and Plenty Day, brand of licorice candy coated in pink and white hard candy shells. It always reminded me as if I was taking medicine, and kind of tasted like medicine too. Although I can't really argue with anise flavoring because, I love me some absinthe, and that's pretty much what that is. On the 24th in 1836, Alonzo Dwight Phillips of Springfield, Massachusetts, received the patent for the first phosphorus friction safety match in the United States. In 1861, the first transcontinental telegraph was completed and went into operation. Within days, the Pony Express ceased operations. In 1901, Annie Taylor, a 43-year-old non-swimming widowed schoolteacher, accompanied by her pet kitten, became the first person to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel and survive. Her goal of making money to pay off her debts was unsuccessful. She died a pauper 10 years or 20 years later. In 1929, on the 24th, it was Black Thursday, the first day of the panic-driven stock market crash that precipitated the Great Depression. On the 24th in 1940, the 40-hour work week went into effect in the U.S. under the Fair Labor Standards Act. 2003, the last commercial flight of the British Airways supersonic Concorde airliner left New York at 7:30 a.m. local time for Heathrow Airport in London. A special champagne breakfast was served with smoked Scottish salmon, with caviar and lobster cakes, with Bloody Mary relish and wilted spinach. That's your food history and holidays for this week. Special thanks to the birthday boy, James Ealer at foodreference.com, for making us chuckle, roll our eyes. Think, my gosh, that's a huge pumpkin. Yeah, thanks, Thomas Edison, for keeping our lights on. Man Away to Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables podcast network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, the Beer Dads, Fan Interference, Beeswax, Final Daily, Wheeler's Dog, and Asylum Tales from the Devereaux Diary, or Diaries. You can find all these podcasts and their latest episode on our network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. You'll find all you need to know about our network of shows right there. This is a reminder to all the listeners, and it's good practice, not just now, but for always: wash your damn hands. Wash with warm water and soap. Wash with that soap for 20 seconds or more. Sing along to this if you're wondering how long is 20 seconds.
She says her love for me could never die. That'd change if she ever found out about you and I. Oh, but her love was cold. Wouldn't hurt her if she didn't know. 'Cause when it gets too much, I need to feel your touch. I'm gonna run to you. I'm gonna run to you. 'Cause when the feeling's right, I'm gonna run all night. I'm gonna run to you.
So that was the single Run to You from Bryan Adams. It was released on this day, the single was, in 1984. So that is 37 years ago today that song was released. It is my favorite Bryan Adams song of all time. And glad I could share that with you. Keep an eye on my blog and this podcast to find out more about the news, food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news, send us an email at tim@themanawaitotown.com. You can also contact us via Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter Instant Messengers. Like us on Facebook, on Twitter. We are Man Who, number 8, The Town. On Instagram, we are Man Who Ate the Town. We invite you to call and leave a voicemail for the podcast or any podcast on the TLD network. You can call 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422.
Numb.
Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast. Again, 336-422-NUMB-6862. Well, my name's Tim. Hopefully we'll have Michael back next week, closing the recipe box trunk. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit.
Yamas.
The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the man who ate the town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.